This screencast is going to overview a little bit about Google Drive. This is your place online, otherwise known as the cloud, where you can store your files. That means images, videos, documents, slideshows, PDFs, all kinds of things, even smart notebook files, because you can store them without trying to convert them to a Google file, and it will just keep it safe for you until you want to download it and use it in class. So how you get to your Google Drive is just to log into your Google account, and in the apps launcher right here in the upper corner you can find the shortcut to Google Drive, and that's the view that I'm looking at right now. Sometimes you'll see this little extra activity window opened up here on the right. You can close this with an X and open up your whole window, and it gives you the option to reopen it and whatnot. You can also have a different view of your files right here, whether you want a list view or switch to this kind of view where you get more of a picture of what the files are all about. This little settings wheel right here is where you can configure your upload settings, and that means that if you're going to convert your Microsoft Word docs into Google format, you would want to check that option, and it closes once you check it, so you have to go back and look, and now you can see that I check marked that. That's going to convert every Word doc to Google form, and it's not going to count against my 30 gigabytes worth of storage. I get as many Google Docs for free as I want. If you don't convert them, they come in as Microsoft Word. It stays intact as a Word doc, but you cannot edit it within Google Drive at that point. You're essentially storing it as a read-only type of file, which you would need to then download out of Google Drive if you were going to edit it or do anything like that with it. I typically do not check mark this second option because I do not think that PDFs or image files translate well when they're uploaded trying to go to Google format, so I just leave that one alone. That's a personal choice. You can play around with these settings to see what works best for you. Over here, under your Create button, you have options of things to create, and there's more apps that you can connect. So I would encourage you to go through this whole library of things to connect a whole bunch of useful things that you might find there. This is where you can upload files from your computer hard drive or whole folders at a time. My Drive can be expanded if you are going to create several folders to organize yourself. We'll just call this folder number 1 just for the sake of creating it, and I'll create one more and we'll call that folder number 2, because maybe you want this, instead of folder number 1, to be called slideshows, or a certain unit name or a certain theme of topics goes in this folder or whatnot. Each of these items has its own little drop down arrow right here to further customize that item. You can color code your folders, which just makes your drive look really pretty, and so that's kind of fun. And you can rename them and open them and share a whole folder with someone. You can star the folder, and that puts it in your starred area right here. If it's something you frequently access, you might want to give it a star, and then you always know where it is and it doesn't get lost in your larger drive. You can move any item that's selected to somewhere else for whatever organizational reason. You can download at this point or remove it. So that's all from this drop down arrow right here. Okay, recent items are going to show things that I had recently opened, so that's a place to check too if you're ever looking for something in your drive. Your trash, of course, is things that you've thrown away, and you know, if you empty your trash, it's permanently gone, so there's no retrieving it at that point. Under the More drop down, this is for offline options or to show all items, and you can install Drive for your computer, which is kind of like an auto sync option that you can put on your desktop, so that you can drag files over to it and they come right up to the cloud for you. Just like a direct connection there. This is a way to search your drive. I'll go back to Drive. This is a way to search if you know you had something in your drive but you have a long list of items that aren't really organized yet, you can search up here and it will find it for you. If I remember part of the name, that's really helpful because then it will kind of try to guess what I'm trying to find and I can get to it like that. So that's a neat option. If I'm trying to organize files into folders I've created, you can do that a lot of different ways. You can click and drag and move it like that, or you can select it like this and you can move it to whatever folder like that. Also, when you select something, you can choose to share it with somebody or preview it or trash it or do any of the things under this menu by selecting it. If I choose these two things and move them into a folder, and I'm looking at those items in this folder, I can preview things really quickly with this eyeball. So that's kind of cool, but the things have to be contained within a folder. And then it gives me a quick snapshot of the document, and I can just navigate to each document with the arrows instead of opening the file, closing the file, opening the next file, then closing that file. I can get all my files in one folder and just go like this with the arrows and go all the way through them for a quick view, just to maybe see if something was completed or whatever status of it. Okay, so that's a little bit about this menu over here. You can also right click directly on the document and get the same menu that would come up under More. So a couple of different ways to do essentially the same thing. That's just a general overview of your drive. Hope that helps. Thanks.